I just want to explain at the beginning of episode 11, I say that this is a continuation of episode 9. What I meant to say is this is a continuation of episode 10. So please forgive me and enjoy. And as always, if you want to be part of the podcast, you can email me at beingmsdiva@gmail.com. Enjoy the episode. Thank you very much. Hello and welcome. Thank you for listening. I want to talk more about what I talked about in episode 9 when I had fell back into the tricks, the lies, the deceit. When I was believing that this man had changed. And, I allowed him to get back into my space. And like I said, got pregnant. In the aftermath of me allowing that to happen, I became very, very, very sad, very frustrated with myself because I just kept saying to myself, why? Why did I do that? Why did I listen? Why did I fall back into that believing him? Why did I go back? Why did I allow him to get back into my head, my thoughts, my life? I love my son. I didn't look at him as being anything but my son who I loved. It wasn't his fault. He didn't do anything wrong. So I wasn't upset with that. I was upset with the fact that I fell. I fell back into the trap of lies, believing that he had changed. That is something that, if you've been any woman that's been in an abusive relationship can understand what I'm saying. It was very hurtful. I think what I was feeling, the sadness and the frustration, to me was even greater than the abuse. It was like, to me, went back into that tunnel and sat in that tunnel and allowed whatever could be or whatever would happen. It did. That's how I was feeling. Because it was a time that I carried this smile on my face, but I also carried that sadness and that frustration in my mind. A shame. Even though my sister didn't say anything negative, I just felt bad. I felt empty. I felt that I was never going to be any better because I allowed this man to get back into my space. I felt that emptiness. I felt that void. I felt that I was just walking around like a robot. I got up, I wind myself up, told myself, do this, do that. But it was like I was dead, excuse me, like I was dead on the inside. Like I was trying to find something and I couldn't find it. I kept telling myself I lost again. Am I ever going to be, or am I ever going to get to the place where I can believe in myself? Am I ever going to get to the place where I can love myself? Am I ever going to get to the place where I can enjoy life? Am I ever going to get to the place of complete happiness? Excuse me. I cried a lot in silence. I cried a lot when nobody was around, when my kids were at school, or when my sister wasn't around. I cried a lot. I felt myself going into, excuse me, a deep depression because I fell backwards. I was so proud of myself, excuse me, before this happened. I was so proud that I left this man. I was so proud that I got away. I was so proud that I escaped. I wanted that happiness and I just couldn't seem to get it. Because the more I went towards that happiness, the thoughts came to my mind. But look what you did. I think those dark days was days that I wanted to just run away, give up. My children always brought me back to thinking right. But there was days I just wanted to give up because I said, I can't believe that I actually did it again. Went back to him again. Those thoughts crossed my mind. It seemed like it was daily. I couldn't even read the word right. I couldn't study the Bible right. I couldn't enjoy myself because I kept beating myself up because of the mistake I made. God loved me, but I just couldn't love myself. I just couldn't get to the point where I could love myself because I kept saying I'd have made so many mistakes. I went back to this man so many times. And then when I promised myself I wouldn't go back to him, I did. And that was a struggle that I didn't talk to nobody about. I didn't talk to my sister about it because all I could do is look at the mistake that I made. I mean, not look at it, think about the mistake that I made, how I allowed him to trick me. And he worked hard. I mean, he said words that I haven't heard in a long time. And that is something that I had to put them goals back down on paper. And I had to tell myself, you got to do this. You got to bring yourself up out of this. Because you're not no good for yourself. And you're really not any good for your children if you keep staying in this here frustration, sadness. Because eventually your children are going to pick it up. Children are very smart. They pick things up. And this is what I was saying to myself. You don't want them to pick this up. You don't want them to see you crying, seeing you miserable. You need to be a mother to those 3 kids that you have because they need you. And you have to put, I started hating him, hating her father. And I was telling myself, he's evil, he's wicked, and I hate him. And I asked the Lord to help me. I said, I don't want to feel this way. I don't want to be this way, but I don't know what to do. I mean, I prayed, but I just couldn't let it go because here it was. I gave my life to the Lord. He helped me to escape this man. And with just a few words, this man got me back. And that frustration, thinking about that, was just eating me up inside because here I am, been set free from this man, but allowed him to trick me into getting back with him. So I had to pick myself up out of that hole. I had to pick myself up out of that dirt. I had to pick myself up out of that accusing spirit because I accuse myself every day. How could you, I ask myself every day, how could you let this happen again? How could you just allow this to happen? This is what I ask myself all the time. And then I buried it. Every time, I would, think that way. I would get my kids and we would go somewhere, we go play, and, I would get my mind off of it. But when I was by myself, my mind start racing, start thinking, start rehearsing. So you're going to have, talking to ladies, you're going to have days where you may make a mistake. You're going to have days where you're going to be sad, depressed, frustrated because of something you allowed to happen that you said you wasn't going to allow to happen. I know, because I did. I allowed it to happen. I could have said, no, I don't believe you. I believe you're just trying to get me to believe that you changed. But I didn't. Deep down inside, I had some feelings for him. I had to be honest, I had feelings for him, and he knew it. He could sense it. He could tell. But it took me a while to get over what I did. It took me a while to stop beating myself up, because I did. I beat myself up. But once I realized that we all make mistakes, learn from the mistake and don't go back. And I believe by him kicking me out of that car, literally kicking me out of that car, is what put, like they say, put the icing on the cake. I knew deep down inside he would never, ever, ever get another opportunity to ever hurt me again. I would never, ever allow him to ever be part of my life ever again. I never spoke evil about him around his kids. Never. Never talked against him around the kids. But inside I did. Inside my mind, my thoughts I did. But I never said it out loud that my kids could hear it. Because I wanted them to love their father in spite of, even if he didn't come around. I didn't want them ever not to love him. They didn't, I said, well, they would ask, where is dad? When were we going to see dad? I said, well, I think he's out of town. He's going to be out of town for a while. I made excuses. And then after a while, they stopped asking. He wasn't going to come around and see the kids. He didn't care anything about the kids. I knew that. And I had to accept it. And the Lord helped me with my children to raise them. And it was a daily, I had to encourage myself. So don't never give up. Hang in there. Like I said, you're going to have days where you're down, you're sad, you're frustrated. Don't give up. There's a brighter day coming. Believe me, there's a brighter day coming. It'll show up if you don't give up. Don't give up. And remember, the Lord loves you, and so do I. I just thought I would just do some reminiscing on what happened after I got pregnant. Wanted to talk more about how I was feeling. So be encouraged. It gets better. God bless you. And thanks for listening.